That's her way of saying you got bad breath.
No.
It's always negative. She loves you.
No.
It is very
It's refreshing. I love you, baby.
easy to talk when you got a mouthful of fruit, too. Unlike most wives, they don't say, do you want some? No. It's just, oh,
Maybe
what
you would
choice
say
did I
no.
have? Yeah.
I'm so used to serve you.
Yeah, I know you are, baby, and I don't have a problem with that, but I'm getting ready to start talking again. This is very fibrous fruit, so. Okay. Here.
Okay.
The bottom line is that I wanted to ask the question before we started in the text on page 163 of the Heart of the Lotus Sutra.
You.
Who knows what the difference between Hinayana and Mahayana is?
Okay. Hinayana Buddhism only focus on self. They don't. They hardly think for the others.
But what comprises Hinayana?
What comprise?
Yeah, what when we refer to Hinayana and Mahayana, what are we referring to?
Anything before Lotus Sutra.
Huh?
Anything before Lotus Sutra.
No, because there's Mahayana, there's pre-Lotus Sutra Mahayana, right?
Yeah.
But in this Gosha, what he's clarifying, generally speaking, we would say the Agamas, all the Theravada teachings of Buddhism are Hinayana. Okay, and you're correct. Your first definition is actually the correct one, because Hinayana is lesser vehicle because it's completely focused on the individual, rather the Mahayana is the compassion of the Bodhisattva. Okay, yada yada yada. Okay, right? But and there's a timeline. You know, the Wisdom Sutras and the Correct and Equal Sutras. That's all Mahayana, right? But it's all pre-Lotus Sutra, so we call it provisional. So what this Gosho is explaining, though, is that when we, as Nichiren Buddhists, what we should be considering as Hinayana and Mahayana are relative. That Hinayana and Mahayana are terms of relative in nature. In other words, the Hinayana teachings that we would call Hinayana as Mahayana Buddhists are actually Mahayana when compared to non-Buddhist teachings. Okay?
Yeah. Come to think.
In other words, what does Hinayana mean? It means lesser vehicle. Okay, what does Mahayana mean? Greater vehicle. Okay, so he's saying rather than getting all locked into some characterization of these
Good or
are
bad
teachings,
vehicle,
yes, these teachings are Hinayana and these teachings are Mahayana. You should understand that it's all relative to the time and the teaching. That compared to the last 14 chapters of the Lotus Sutra, the first 14 chapters are Hinayana. Compared to the Buddhism, and by do you understand what I just said? Okay. And by inference, then, the implicit teaching is Mahayana versus the explicit teaching. Okay? Do you understand? So that even of the Lotus Sutra, even the essential teaching, the last 14 chapters, if we look at the explicit teaching as taught by Shakyamuni, as spoken by Shakyamuni, it's me, I'm the, right? It's the teachings of Nagarjuna, passed through Nanye, Tentai, that created this pre latter day of the law understanding that this is all living beings, right? So he's saying that the Buddhism of the sowing, which is Nichiren's Buddhism of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, versus the Buddhism of the harvest, which is the result that's expressed by Shakyamuni's teaching of the Lotus Sutra. That even the essential teaching of the last 14 chapters, which are the Buddhism of the harvest, okay, are Hinayana compared to the Buddhism of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, the latter day of law. So when you hear Hinayana, it's always just that's an expedient means, okay, and what's it compared to? That's a greater vehicle. That's a more clear. What is Mahayana?
Yes.
So Mahayana is always the greater teaching. So the greater teaching is always the point of reference by virtue of which you judge the lesser teaching. Do you understand? Not the other way around.
Okay.
The greater teaching is relative to the time, ultimately. because the latter day of the law reveals the essential teaching of the Lotus Sutra, which is Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, implicit within the lifespan chapter. Okay? All right, so now we're going to get into the beginningless time is the original moment of life. Continuing on page 163. In the context of the sutra, it just happens to start talking about what I was just kind of referring to. In the context of the sutra, and I didn't know it would. In the context of the sutra, the I, since I in fact attained Buddhahood, refers literally to Shakyamuni alone. This is what I was just talking about. All right? It is his life that is said to be endowed with the 10 worlds and to exist eternally. All right? However, from the standpoint of the implicit meaning, and I swear I didn't read this first, of the passage, and this is what I was talking about when I said a minute ago. I just happened to pick up that Go Show this week and start talking about this before we start talking about this. It wasn't tied to this, but it's actually completely tied to this. The Gohonzon's so mystic. However, from the standpoint of the implicit meaning of the passage, everybody understands the implicit versus the what's he called here? The surface meaning, or in the context of the sutra. All right. He says, Nichiren says, I represents the living beings of the Dharma realm. I here refers to each and every being in the 10 worlds. All right, which is an understanding that comes forth from Tintai's teachings. All right. He clarifies that not only Shakyamuni, but all people in the 10 worlds are entities of the Buddha who attained enlightenment in the remote past. Not only Shakyamuni, but all people in the 10 worlds are entities of the Buddha who attained enlightenment in the remote past. In essence, our own lives are endowed with the eternal life of the Buddha. Okay? Of the original Buddha. Everybody understands, right? Only when this passage is read from the standpoint of its implicit meaning is there explicit assurance that all people can attain Buddhahood. Does everybody understand that? All right? So if you read it from the explicit text of the Lotus Sutra, that guarantee doesn't exist. It's only the Buddhism of the sowing that actually provides a single lifetime access. Nichiren Buddhism, only when this passage is read from the standpoint of its implicit meaning is there explicit assurance that all people can attain Buddhahood. Nichiren Buddhism, through what might appear to be called a popular or humanist interpretation, opens the words of the lifespan chapter to all people. All right? But understand that, again, this understanding is not something that is popular as in contemporary or a new religion interpretation. Do you understand? Its orthodoxy goes all the way back to Nagarjuna, okay, who was an Indian, by the way. He wasn't Chinese. All right? All right? Our lives are eternal entities endowed with the 10 worlds. Eternal entities. Because Buddhahood exists in our lives from the beginningless past through the infinite future, so long as we can encounter the right external factors. What are the right external factors? Correct teaching, correct teacher, correct object of devotion. Right? Then we can open up and manifest the world of Buddhahood at any time and at any place. And that's why we need to be careful about ever alluding to something like somebody hasn't gotten there yet. Okay, or there's an understanding yet to come, because we're really not qualified, any of us, to ever judge that in another person. We're talking about judging capacity again. That's a no-no. All right? Only for the purpose of understanding how directly to expound the truth. That's the only thing. That's compassion. That's not animality. The judgment's the same. It's the world you're in when you make it. Does everybody understand what I just said then? All right. Therefore, it is unnecessary it is unnecessary for us to practice for countless eons to attain Buddhahood. We can become Buddhas in the course of this existence, just by going from stage 1 to stage 6 in the 6 stages of practice. Right? We do not have to practice lifetime after lifetime without reaching our goal. Again, no matter how heavy our burden of karma, through tapping our inner life force, we can revolutionize our existence. This represents a fundamental transformation in the view of attaining enlightenment. Everybody understands and perceives that? That's the whole thing that makes Nichiren's Buddhism of the sowing different than Buddhism of the harvest. Because he's constantly talking about the attainment of Buddhahood in your present form. He's always talking about the fact that you're already the Buddha, but you're not the Buddha unless you realize you're the Buddha. Okay? Come about with that realization. That's generated through the truth of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. This represents a fundamental transformation in the view of the attainment of attaining enlightenment. A great shift in perspective with regard to the causality for becoming a Buddha. When was the first time this was actually really completely understood from a lay perspective?
Lay perspective.
Josei Toda in prison.
Mr.
Josei Toda in prison.
Yeah.
Realizing the realization that he came to. There was all no longer theoretical. He's going, shit, I'm the Buddha. Okay? But he couldn't really say that. Just like President Ikeda can't really say, I'm the Buddha. He doesn't walk around going, I'm the Buddha. He doesn't do it from a declarative standpoint that people that misunderstand and don't understand what Buddha is, to judge that as being something. He talks about the Buddhahood that exists in all of us. He talks about all of our Buddhahood as the potentiality of what we do in each given moment, including himself. Because that's also what it relies a lot, depends on.
We are Buddhas.
When he says, of course he would say we are Buddhas, but I'm saying he doesn't go around, no Buddha goes around qualifying. The reason what I'm saying is true is because I'm the Buddha.
Yes,
Okay? You understand?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Nichiren Daishonin clearly explained that this cause for attaining Buddhahood is the law of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo that his life embodied, and that yours does too, which indicated he was the Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, thus come one. Because only that teacher can reveal that teaching. Okay? And that's why his disciples are the ones that propagate it. Right? All right. And he manifested this great state of life in the form of the Gohonzon, which he bestowed upon all people of the latter day of the law, so that they could all become equally endowed with the same Buddhahood that he is. All right? He says, Kuan is Nam-myoho Renge-kyo. That's the 9th consciousness. And true attainment means awakening to the fact that one is eternally endowed with the 3 bodies. In other words, one is already a Buddha exactly as they are. All right? He also says attain means to open or reveal. Why is that important? Attain, generally, when we attain something, it's something that we have accomplished, right? To attain is to reach something that we didn't already possess.
Right.
But he's saying, no, this attainment is the attainment of the realization that opens the truth that already existed. All right? Or to reveal, right? To open the truth, to reveal the truth that already existed. The attainment is the attainment of the truth that already existed, not the attainment of the truth that is thereby acquired. Do you understand? There's a huge difference. All right?
It's not outside.
It's not outside of yourself. And it's not something you get from other people.
And you see, it's not something you get because you do it more, you do this or do
Or
that
that
more.
you're special or you're any shit at all, baby. Because if I can do it, anybody can. If it's me, then it's everybody. That's my goal. That's my goal. He says Kuan is Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, and true attainment means awakening to the fact that one is eternally endowed with the three bodies. He also says attain means to open or reveal. It is to reveal that the beings of the Dharma realm are Buddhas, eternally endowed with the three bodies, just as they are. Kuan refers to life that is endowed with the 10 worlds and exists eternally. It indicates the Gohonzon of Nam-myoho Renge-kyo, which eternally embodies the 10 worlds, the original state. All right? True attainment refers to the manifestation of the Gohonzon within each of our lives and to gaining access to its benefit. What is that actually describing? True attainment refers to the manifestation of the Gohonzon in our lives. What is that? The realization that we are the Buddha.
Yes.
Okay? The process of going from a Buddha in theory, stage 1, to participating in stage 2, and stage 3, and stage 4, and stage 5, and aggressing along the path to that perception that is truth, not theoretical. That you are the Buddha exactly as you are right now. Okay? He says, refers to the manifestation of the Gohonzon and to gaining access to its benefit. Because then once you know you're the Buddha, you don't have to ask the Gohonzon, oh, please. Right? No. You're steering the ship. Right? You're not asking the captain, please don't capsize me. You understand. This ship is my life. I am the vessel of the law. I cannot be sunk. All right? I'm here to lead the countless other ships into the safe harbor across the sea of suffering. All right?
Oh, it's a good image.
You follow?
Yes.
It all makes sense, doesn't it? All right. So this is the implicit meaning of attainment of Buddhahood in the remote past. All right? To distinguish this meaning from the literal meaning of the phrase in the context of Shakyamuni's teaching, in other words, to explain the difference of the two from the context of the Buddhism of the sowing versus the Buddhism of the harvest, as I mentioned previously, it is called beginningless time, or Kuan Ganjo, not numberless major world system dust particle compass. Okay? Because in fact that has a point. That is a point. That is called Goyaku Jintingo. Okay? Goyaku Jintingo is a point that supersedes Sanzen Jintingo. Kuan Ganjo is not a point. Do you understand? Numberless major world system dust particle kalpas ago can be defined back to a number. Kuan doesn't have one. You get it? The difference between, the difference, the thing that's described in the explicit lifespan chapter.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is since I, in fact, attained Buddhahood. That's a point in time. But does Buddhahood have a point in time? No. Because based on the simultaneity of cause and effect, once the original Buddha became the Buddha, it's eternalized in both directions, just like it is for all the other Bodhisattvas of the earth come after the original Buddha. It's the same deal for everybody. It's not like the original Buddha is one kind of class of entity and we're all a different one. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's really important shit for you to understand. Do you understand? All right. Everybody's with me.
Yes.
All right. So I'm going to go back. Beginningless time does not simply indicate a point in time, even more distant than. Oh, he describes it for me. I didn't even realize that. Thank you, President Ikeda. Okay. I'll go back one more paragraph to where I actually was. Okay. This is the implicit meaning of attainment of Buddhahood in the remote past. This blows my mind. To distinguish this meaning from the literal meaning of the phrase in the context of Shakyamuni's teaching, as I mentioned previously, it is called beginningless time, or Kuan Ganjo. Okay? Beginningless time does not simply indicate a point in time even more distant than the remote past of numberless major world system dust particle kalpas ago. It means time without beginning or end. In light of its essential meaning, beginningless time could be said to represent the original moment of life. Although that implies a point, it's not, because it's infinite.
Right.
Do you understand?
Yeah,
All right.
but it's very hard.
No, it's not. It's easy. Open your mind. Free your mind from the impediments of this realm. Be free.
It's only difference.
It's very simple. I'll say it again. Beginningless time does not simply indicate a point in time even more distant. Because you're having to use words.
Yes.
Okay? And infinity isn't in our vocabulary. Everything is made. That's why we created religions. To figure out who made Earth. Who made the heavens.
Who made us?
Nobody made shit. This is the point.
Yeah.
It's beginningless. There's no maker. This is the point. That's why everything is the same.
Okay.
Okay? All right. Beginningless time does not simply indicate a point in time even more distant than the remote past of numberless major world system dust particle kalpas ago. It means time without beginning or end. In light of its essential meaning, its implicit meaning, beginningless time could be said to represent the original moment of life. It could,
Right.
the ninth consciousness that never started and never stops. Okay, that is the repository for all things that are not manifest. It's the waking state of original enlightenment.
Yeah.
Okay?
You're not
It's
aware.
where you are when you're not in a temporary gathering of the five components. It's Ku. Does Ku have a beginning?
No.
Does
When
Ku have an
something
end?
happens,
No.
You just stop.
So
and-
it supersedes
Well,
numberless major world system dust particle kalpas. Do you understand? All right. So once we awaken to the primal origin of life, the Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, thus come one, which we are. All right. Once we awaken to the primal origin of life, every moment throughout past, present, and future becomes for us the moment of beginningless time, because we no longer see a moment as a moment. We see it as an aspect of something that never ends.
So if you think this way among the people that are in their stuff, everything becomes, you stand up like that and you say,
First of all,
what's going on?
yeah, you should have compassion for anybody that doesn't understand. And you don't cop any kind of an attitude about, boy, am I smarter than them? Or, boy, I wish
No.
you could figure it out. Or anything like that. All you
So
want to
what do you
do
do?
is give them this present. Because it is a gift that was given to you. Okay? And there's an unstoppable process of, I want you to understand what I'm talking about here.
I do understand.
I know. I'm talking about each one of you wanting others to understand. That's the whole reason you're able to understand. It's a gift given to you that you then give. And it's already predicated on the people that you promised to give it to. Those causes were already put in motion by them, not by you.
It's a gift, it's a gift, it's a gift.
Okay, so you can't even take in credit for it. You're not the one granting anything. You're not sharing it for the sake of your empowerment. It's theirs. Their Buddha nature is what's deriving you the great benefit and good fortune to share.
Exactly.
Do you follow? Okay? It's the beautiful, it's such a beautiful, perfect thing. Once we awaken to the primal origin of life, every moment throughout past, present, and future becomes for us the moment of beginningless time. The moment that we can make all things equal to ourselves. In essence, Nichiren Buddhism teaches a way of life based on beginningless time. A way of making everything equal to this beautiful thing that is ourself. It enables us to address the reality of our situations with a fresh, forward-looking spirit, always basing ourselves on life's original moment. I took a vow. I will fulfill it. I cannot fail. I am the thus come one. Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. Okay? There's no separation between me and the Gohonzon. Do you understand? I don't have to earn this. I have to open and reveal it. I don't have to attain it. I have to open and reveal it. Okay? For us who accept and believe in the Gohonzon and who carry out the practice of reciting the Sutra and chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo each day, and Nam-myoho Renge Kyo, each day is beginningless time, the eternal origin of life. We can experience every moment as beginningless time. I'll go back to this sentence again because it's very imperative that I do this. For us who accept and believe in the Gohonzon, okay? Now, everybody in this table, I'm sure, is going to qualify for that. And who carry out the practice of reciting the Sutra and chanting Nam-myoho Renge Kyo. This is the practice. The first part, okay, is faith. Accept and belief. But the second part, he says, and who carry out the practice. This is doing Gongyo and chanting Daimoku and interfacing with others. It's those two together that allow us to make each day beginningless time and have the eternal origin of life. That we can be the Buddha. Understanding this, you can do it theoretically. But if you're not doing the practice with the understanding that brings about the correct faith, you're not really doing it. Just understand that. Knowing what we're talking about and doing it are two different things. All right? It's so important for you all to understand that, and the Gohonzon has infinite compassion towards how difficult that process is. I can speak to 42 years of faith to tell you you can screw up as much as you want, and it's okay. You'll be okay. You will never be like, shame on you. No. No. Gohonzon will always be like, thank God, I was afraid maybe you wouldn't have. Okay, good. Let's get back to it. That will always be the case. You will never be punished. You will always be embraced in the robe of the Buddha. Always. And you couldn't do anything close to the shit I've done. I know you all too well. Okay? So let me be the one to guarantee you, and I'm personally guaranteeing you, that the compassion of Gohonzon is such that you can never get so far outside that you can't, in a moment, bring yourself back. So you know when you're off course, don't despair. I'm so off course. I lost so much time. How long is it going to... No! That's the only thing that will make it that way. That kind of incorrect thinking. To understand the Gohonzon's infinite mercy is to be able to utilize it. And boom! Right back. Right back that fast. Okay? To continue the journey. And we'll be continuing a journey. The great author Romain Rolland writes, live in today. Don't think about how much you screwed up a moment ago. This is a new moment. Be reverent towards each day, because it's only the fact that you're alive that you're getting that this moment opportunity to reset. Love it, respect it. Nichiren taught the great joy of living in the now, in the present moment, which contains both the eternal past and the infinite future. Right? Because it's through the simultaneity of cause and effect that we awaken our bodhisattvaness of the earth. Josei Toda said regarding beginningless time, when we observe our existence, we find that in the time before numberless major world system dust particle kalpas ago, i.e. beginningless time, we lived with total freedom in a brilliant world of purity and joy. We were all beautiful in spirit and of like mind. We once dwelled in such a sparkling world. Now we have all emerged together in this Sahe world. Looking back, I feel as though it was only yesterday that we lived in that pure, pleasant world. How could we possibly forget the brilliant world where we then dwell? How could we forget the friends with whom we then joyously lived in absolute freedom? And how could we forget the vows we made together at the assembly where the Lotus Sutra was expounded? Since this Sahe world is a world inhabited originally by friends who are all joyful and pure and bright and on good terms with one another, it is not Is it not most pitiful and sad that, having been forced to drink the poisons of greed, anger, and jealousy by proponents of the provisional Mahayana, Hinayana, and non-Buddhist teachings, we have become like crazed children in a forgotten beginningless time? Mr. Toda says that he recalls beginningless time as though it were only yesterday. Such was his immense state of life. When we awaken to the beginningless time, this Sahe world becomes one that is joyful, pure, and bright. It becomes a world inhabited entirely by friends in harmony. The sufferings of birth and death become nirvana. Okay? In reality, however, this is a world of ceaseless misery and strife. For precisely this reason, we who dwell in the moment of beginningless time are exerting ourselves to carry out the widespread propagation of the mystic law for people's happiness and for world peace. Our daily activities, based on the prayer for the happiness of all people and realization of true world peace, represent a great movement to open up a new frontier of life. Now is the time for the essential teaching of the time. Now is the time for the essential teaching, the time to cast off the transient and reveal the true. And what is that? What is transing off? What's casting off the transient and revealing the true? What's that referred to in each of us?
Spread the law.
Reveal your true Buddha nature.
Yes, reveal the fact that you are your true identity as the Buddha. It's to stop occupying the 9 worlds as the place where you live and to accept the fact that the 10th world is actually your original state and always in each moment of your life and accessible to you. All right? The idea of dignity of life is a familiar one. At the same time, everyone's confused about its essential meaning. This is on page 166. If the sanctity of life can become a solid touchstone of wisdom for all people, then humankind's destiny to repeatedly experience war and misery can be greatly transformed. Now, what did he just say there? What did he say there? If the sanctity of life can become a solid touchstone of wisdom for all people, if mankind can finally get a clue and realize that the worst thing we can do is to kill and cause suffering for one another, regardless of what gender we are, regardless of what country we're from, regardless of what our ethnicity is. That's what he's talking about. If the sanctity of life, in other words, don't kill, okay, don't create misery and suffering, can become a solid touchstone, can become a solid basis for people's outlook and perspective of the correct thinking as a human being, okay, can become a touchstone of wisdom, which is what I'm talking about, for all people. Okay, if we can do what we're talking about, widespread propagation,
Right.
make everybody understand this philosophy, this teaching, even if they don't chant it, understand that kind of thought process. He says, then mankind's destiny, the future for all of us that exist together as human beings, to repeatedly experience war and misery, which is what our history has shown has preceded us since ancient times, without abatement, can be greatly transformed. We can change this world from one of suffering and death to one of peace and life. Okay? And mutual cooperative prosperity. It is toward this end that we are working. That's what Kosen Rufu is all about. All right? It's not about winning over everybody for the sake of religious superiority. It's not about showing everybody how much we're smarter than them and that we got a better way of thinking than them. It's to actually transform Earth. It's to actually eliminate death and suffering. That's unnecessary. War is an unnecessary way to die.
No.
That's totally karma, right?
Right.
Okay, we should all be dying of old age. and have a means to be able to achieve that without overpopulation, without deprivation, all of those things. If mankind didn't view other people as
Another valuable entity.
yeah, can kill them, can ignore them, their suffering's not mine, I want more money. If everything could change to be humanism, as it's being discussed here, the whole world would change.
Yes.
The basis for there to be Star Trek would be there. I mean, we could do Star Trek. Yeah, we could become a member of the United Federation of Planets. They're probably not going to approach us till we get to that point. And then they're going to find out, shit, they all chant. Okay, seriously. All right? From the 20th, it is toward this end that we are working. From the 20th century, a century of war, to a century of life, the crucial moment for this great transformation has arrived. Now's now. This is the time of the essential teaching, the moment for casting off the transient and revealing the true. And we can do that to a great degree because Daisaku Ikeda has manifested in this world and created this great organization called the Soka Gakkai, who, good, bad, or indifferent, perfect or imperfect, has created a means for this understanding and teaching to be propagated. Okay?
Right.
I'm not going to be talking to you like this without everything that's preceded me that I've had to draw from. Frankly speaking, the significance of that can't be taken away by anybody, no matter what your opinion of politics or with a Komedo or anything you want to get into here. Okay? And it's based on that everything now is the time, because now it's all been revealed. If I can understand it, you can understand it. If you can understand it, lots of other people can understand it. Okay? It's all, the lid is off, folks. Okay? We don't have a priesthood anymore. Now is the time that Kosen Rufu is occurring. Okay? It's not in the future sometime. It's now. That's what he's saying here. He's saying, from the 20th century, a century of war, to a century of life, the crucial moment for this great transformation has arrived. This is the time of the essential teaching, the moment of casting off the transient and revealing the true. That it's not about the priesthood, it's not about the priest, it's not about the high priest, it's about each single one of us. All right? In any great transition, there is always an individual who stands up in response to the pressing needs of the time. As long as there is one such outstanding person, then 2 or 3 will follow. This is the principle of Kosen Rufu, and that's why he's saying this time has already happened. I'm here, I've done this. All of you are there for a reason. We all have a relationship. We're all interlocked and we're all equal. But we all got to be on the same page. That's what this mentor-disciple stuff is all about. Okay? This is the principle of Kosen Rufu. The Lotus Sutra is the teaching that can enable all people to perceive life's sanctity unfailingly and to establish a dignified way of life. All right? The lesson of the Lotus Sutra's theoretical teaching is that all people can uncover the wisdom of the Buddha inherent in their lives. And then when they do that, the essential teaching comes into play. By contrast, the lifespan chapter of the Lotus Sutra's essential teaching reveals that Shakyamuni did not attain Buddhahood, did not attain the Buddha wisdom initially in his present lifetime. Its lesson is that the eternal activities of life are fundamentally endowed with the Buddha wisdom, and that Shakyamuni embodies that eternal life. By casting off his transient status and revealing his true identity, Shakyamuni clarifies that each person embodies eternal life. The Lotus Sutra's teaching that all people can gain access to the wisdom of the Buddha and develop their state of life is thus substantiated. It's no longer theoretical. Nichiren Daishonin actualized the principle of casting off the transient and revealing the true at the time of the Tatsunokuchi persecution. Right?
Yes.
Which took place on the 12th day of the 9th month of 1271. In the opening of the eyes, he says, on the 12th day of the 9th month of last year, between the hours of the rat and the ox, 11 to 3 a.m., this person named Nichiren was beheaded. It is his soul that has come to this island of Sato. Nichikan says regarding this passage, the fundamental meaning of this passage is as follows. The founder and the great sage Nichiren speaks of the entity of the life of an ordinary person at the stage of hearing the name and the words of the truth, becoming the Buddha of limitless joy, of beginningless time, and attaining his true identity. He thus clearly indicates himself to be the original Buddha of the Buddhism of sowing, who makes his advent in the latter day of the law to reveal his teaching, because he's the only Buddha that can initiate it. And then his disciples take it from there. You got it?
Yep.
All right. Nichiren manifested the life of the Buddha of limitless joy, of beginningless time, and the life of an ordinary person. That's what the Gohonzon is. That's what we become when we embrace the Gohonzon and become one with it. This is how Nichiren actualized the principle of casting off the transient and revealing the true. Nichiren's true identity is that of the Buddha of limitless joy, of beginningless time. Limitless joy means the body that is freely received and used. That's what we do. All right? It indicates the life state of one who attains awareness that the entire universe is his or her own life, and who freely receives and uses the power of the mystic law that is the wellspring of cosmic life. It's the Buddha who answers his own prayers. What greater joy could there be? Because that is absolute freedom, baby. That's what they're talking about. To Shijo Kingo, who tearfully remarked when Nichiren Daishonin was about to be beheaded at Tatsunokuchi, "These are your last moments," Nichiren says, "What greater joy could there be?" Seen from the vast state of life of one who freely receives and uses the power of the world of Buddhahood pervading the universe, the schemes of Heino Seimen and the priest Ryokan of Guryakuji to destroy Nichiren must have seemed like very little consequences indeed. I had long expected it to come to this, he says, the Daishonin says, reflecting dispassionately on the situation. Even on Sado Island, he reveals his immense state of life. I feel immeasurable delight even though I am now in exile. Despite the severe conditions under which he lived while in exile, he composed the opening of the eyes, the object of devotion for observing the mind. These writings clarify the teachings that can lead all people to enlightenment during the 10,000 years of the latter day of the law. It was also on Sado that he first began to inscribe the Gohonzon. Okay? Because that was then and this is now. All right? His life had revealed to him who he really was, what he needed to do, what he needed to make sure was left behind for everyone else. All right? What a vast and boundless state of life Nichiren possessed. No persecution, no matter how severe, could destroy his spirit. President Toda used to say, "There are those who say that the Daishonin was great because he endured such great persecutions. That may be so, but what makes him greater still is that even while enduring all manner of great persecution, he continued struggling with immense compassion to lead all people to enlightenment." Nichiren's casting off the transient and revealing the true should not be seen as putting him on a level inaccessible to ordinary people. We should see him as the original example of who we actually are as individual human beings. What Nichiren in fact fully revealed at Tatsunokuchi is the ultimate potential human beings possess. They're so powerful they can make lights appear in the sky and scare the shit out of everybody so they leave you alone. Through his own example, the Daishonin revealed the greatness and dignity of an individual human being. He certainly did not cease to be human. Rather, as a human being, he manifested a vast and unrestrained state of life in order to elevate the lives of all people. All right? If you don't have a vast and unrestrained state of life, you're not going to convince anybody that you know something more than they do. The essence of Buddhism lies in the principle that ordinary people in their present form can manifest the supremely noble state of Buddhahood. The life of beginningless time can be manifested in the life of a common mortal. It's not theoretical. It's something that can actually be done. This is what Nichiren taught through his own example by casting off the transient and revealing the true. Advance with... Scotty, are you with us?
Yeah, I'm right here.
Okay.
You open a door.
Okay. Advance. I didn't know if that was a door or a snore. Okay. Advance with a great awareness of your mission. Okay? If you took a vow, if you really feel you took a vow, then you know you got a mission. Because the vow was nothing more than to complete that. All right? Doesn't matter about your ability to define it. It's your acceptance that it exists. That's what will make it manifest in front of you. Advance with a great awareness of your mission. We should each strive to manifest our own true identity through our faith and practice for Kosen Rufu. Now, what does that mean? What did he just say there? What's the essential essence of that sentence? That you first, number one, identify yourself as a bodhisattva of the earth. Or you don't have a mission. Do you get it? We should each strive to manifest our own true identity. What is our own true identity? Bodhisattva of the earth. Okay? Because not everybody can manifest Buddhahood. We can start that process, okay? Buddha is 6, right?
6.
Okay? To understand and perceive your Buddhahood is the 6th stage.
Yes.
All right? All right, so we should each strive to manifest our own true identity through our faith and practice toward Kosen Rufu. Revealing the true means to, so if you have taken a vow to uphold the law in the latter day, that's what that is. Faith and practice for Kosen Rufu. For Kosen Rufu is your determination to fulfill your vow. Revealing the true means to stand up based on the most profound awareness that you are a bodhisattva of the earth, that you are the original disciple of the Buddha in his true identity, that you are the thus come one, here to plant seeds and make people equal to yourself. By translating this awareness into action, we reveal our true identity. So there's the key. Is it our awareness? Is it to understand what I just talked about? Is that the essence of this? No. It's making that awareness an actual thing. Okay? It's the action that makes it real, not the understanding or the wisdom to perceive it. Because if your wisdom is to perceive it that doesn't motivate you to have action, you didn't really perceive it yet.
So, chant.
Right. Perception in the absence of action is delusion. Yeah. It's thinking you know something that you don't, because if you really knew it, the action would be there. That I can tell you from personal experience. That's the truth. That's the difference between, that's the thinking you know what you don't know. That will always be there at every stage of understanding. You'll always think you finally made the breakthrough.
It's the lip service.
And you'll only find out now, shit, now I get it. And then later, oh shit, now I get it. And then later, oh shit, now I get it.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, were you mistaken each of the other times? No. No, exactly. All right? So, President Toda said, that's why this is something that goes to the last moment of our life. Or else we'd hit a stage where, okay!
Well, then can you say... It's like the Christian can do whole life bad things, and then until the last moment of their life, they say they believe in God, right? And so, can we do the same until the last moment of your life?
Sure you can. Sure you can, and you'll get the freaking effect for that. Go for it. Okay? See how that works out for you. You know, the Gohonzon has really, really deep compassion and mercy. Your life will dissolve if you start going off in a direction thinking that kind of thing. That's the beauty of all this. It's self-correcting.
Yes.
It's self-correcting. Your karma forces you back in front of the box to figure it out.
Yeah.
It's not working. Why? Yeah, it's self-correcting. This isn't something that has to be taught to you
Because
by
it's
somebody
not
else.
something
Once you start on
outside
the
of you.
correct path, it's self-correcting. Your actions will lead you in the correct way.
Because
You will make the constant breakthroughs in perception because your seeking spirit guides you to that.
Because
In
we-
the absence of that seeking spirit, you won't get it anyhow. You can't sit here and listen to me and get this. That's not what this is about. This is not about listening to Tom or listening to Daisaku Ikeda. This is about being the Buddha. There's a difference.
and it's
What is
within,
action?
Yeah,
The
within
other
you.
one is theoretical.
Yeah, you don't
It's your actions that make it real
get
or
help.
not.
You don't get help outside of you. You get
Right.
help by putting in action. Yeah.
President Toda said, in terms of the surface meaning of the sutras, or in terms of our external function, we are bodhisattvas of the earth. But from the standpoint of faith, we are followers and later disciples of Nichiren Daishonin. This conviction, he went on to say, is the central idea of the Soka Gakkai. Okay? Because the original disciples will have the correct appreciation and respect and understanding for the original teaching. It will be natural. It is an extension of why they manifest in the first place. That's why they're seed planters. Get it? They've already manifest the fortune to encounter the Gohonzon and embrace it and to perceive its truth. They don't have to be convinced. When they chant, shit happens. They practice throughout their lives. They're not the kind of people, I ain't getting any benefit. Yeah, you don't have any benefit because you have a total shit wrong attitude. And you've done nothing to understand or correct it. It's cause and effect. You're getting exactly what you deserve. There's a difference. You'll see that.
Yes.
You're going to see that.
Yes.
All right? So you want to be the correct thinking people. All right? He says, but this conviction, he went on to say, is the central idea of the Soka Gakkai. Because we don't exclude anybody. This is all a process. Because all members, because they're trying, even if they're trying without having the correct desire for that effort. Because all members are standing up with the realization that they are the children of the Buddha with a direct connection with Nichiren Daishonin, the SGI is casting off the transient and revealing the true as an organization. We must have faith that that process is occurring. Why else would we be having these gatherings ourselves?
Right.
We couldn't be the only place on earth.
Of course not.
Of course not. Okay? And I'll stop there. We each possess an important mission for Kosen Rufu. I will start there again.
Okay.
Thank you. Page 170.
Thank
you.
Thank you.